What is that noise? Close the door, please. Close the door. Close the door. What's going on? Miguel, host of Life Full Circle Radio. It is early August, and the kids are back in school, and it's on and popping. So, unless you've been under a rock, or you just one of those rare people who can stay off of social media, I'm just not there yet. Today has been one for the age. We had a time last night. We've been talking about this Montgomery Alabama riverboat brawl now in these internet streets here for the last couple of days, and I've been trying to be mature enough not to get some good laughs out of this thing, but it's just funny. And it's funny for some interesting reasons. But so we're gonna have the serious side of it. We're gonna let the news people kind of talk about it a little bit. The mayor of Montgomery came on out and he made his statement about what was going on. And there's gonna be some arrest, and people we'll see what happens with that. But it's wild. It's wild, but it's funny, but not in a funny way. So we're gonna dig into that. Trump, another indictment coming down, and they're shutting down parts of downtown Atlanta. Whoopee me as an Atlanta Metro resident, as Fani Willis and Fulton County are going to bring down their indictment any minute now. So they're going to shut down some areas in the city. Neyo is the latest combatant in the trans world. So anyway, that's what we're going to be getting on today. And then, of course, we got some other stuff we're going to be hollering about as well. So. All right. Super producer.
You do not live in the Atlanta metro area. I'm not sure why you telling people lies, but that is a lie from the pit of hell.
It is not. It is not. It is the Atlanta. We are in Atlanta DMA, designated market area for non-media people. Yes.
Yeah. So if 30 minutes out is the metro, then yes. I live in the Orlando metro area.
Okay, I guess you live on. What airport do you fly into? Orlando. What airport do you fly to come see me? Atlanta. I live in Atlanta. Ish. Anyway.
That ish is a lot of work with ish. Let's get the show started. Let's get it popping.
Oh my God. So anyway, I saw you kind of frowning up as I was doing my opening about, they have been setting up barricades in downtown Atlanta now for the last week or so. They're up because Fani Willis, who is the DA for Fulton County, which the city of Atlanta is interesting because the whole city of Atlanta is not in Fulton County. Part of it is in Fulton County, but regardless, the potential crime was committed with Trump, with him, and trying to steal the election back in 2020. And Fani Willis, the sister, is the DA, and she get ready to put down them indictments, and she got some extra security and the whole nine. God bless that brave soul, because these folks out here wilding, but she's doing her job. So that's coming soon. But the big story. The big story of the day, obviously, is what is going on in Montgomery, Alabama. And let's see if my queued up story is going to act right now. We'll see. But go ahead and set it up while I'm seeing if it's going to act right, and we can play the story straight from the NBC News.
So the story is very simple. In Montgomery, Alabama, there is the Riverwalk, and there's a large river boat, like a tugboat, like a big tugboat that takes people on a tour of the water and comes back, and it docks at the same spot. It's like you're going on a roller coaster ride. Roller coasters always pull back into the same spot every single time. Mm-hmm. After the ride of the big tugboat was over, there's a little pontoon boat full of white people that would not move out of the way so the big tugboat can get back into its spot.
Right.
Black gentleman gets over who runs the Riverwalk. Not like runs, but he's the guy who's like, I'm security.
Yeah.
It goes up to the person and says, y'all can't park here. Can you move your boat? They don't.
Right.
It continues back and forth for what seems like to me maybe 3 or 4 minutes from the longer video that I see. He's going back and forth with them. Finally, you hear him kind of go, what? There's a bad echo.
Okay. All right. Go ahead now. Tell us it's probably gone now.
Test. Side producer Omar, can you come back and tell me if you still hear it?
You should be good now. No, keep going.
Okay, I'll wait for him to come into the glass mirror. Anyway, So after them going back and forth, the black man, thank you, it's fine. The black guy who's protecting the doc actually was like, you know what, forget it, y'all gotta move. So out of nowhere, a white person from their group runs and punches the black guy. The black guy then very sassily, yes, queen, takes off his hat.
That is not no sassy, but no, I'm gonna let you go. No, you're not gonna put that on.
Very Mary Tyler Moore.
You're not gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you, and then I'm gonna correct all of that.
No, it was this time we'll make it after all.
No. So this is what happened. So she done told her version. I'm gonna tell my version. Right?
But I'm not even done yet. But once he throws the hat up, he's ready to box. Like, I'm just making that as a joke, but this man is ready to fight. Oh, yeah. And they're knuckling up. They're fighting, and out of nowhere, it seems like 5 white guys come out of nowhere and they start to jump him. Right. They are kicking him. They are punching him. He's holding his own a little bit, but after 5 guys, and he a big boy. Like, it's not much he can do. But you see black men start coming to help. One black boy who's only 16-year-old jumped off the riverboat and decided he was going to turn into. They're calling him Aquaman.
I love it, Aquaman. That's my favorite nickname.
Scuba Gooding Jr. Michael B. Phelps. But if he is looking for a swimming scholarship, it's on the way, because he hit that freestyle quicker than I've ever seen and got off that boat and started fighting. But it ended up being a large brawl. It ended up being separate brawls all over, and the entire white group of people were arrested. The first arrest I'm pretty sure they got arrested for was public intoxication. There is no way they did this sober. That's not makes sense.
No. These
one of those white privilege things of I can just be drunk and do what I want. It's fine. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So you gave your here's my synopsis. Here's my hood synopsis. All right. So old boy was at his job, and then people wanted to mess with him on his job. So he came on this joint. He said, "Hey man, you got to move this joint, man. Man. You got to move, man. You see them people over there in that boat. They trying to dock." And so as a commentary, they on the boat, the people filming, it's like, yeah, move, get out the way. So he,
my favorite part of the video. They're like, "Oh, look at them. They need to move."
Man. So then he gets there and he says, "Okay, homeboy, get up out my grill. The old boy comes over there and he pushes him. When he pushes him, the hat was the bat signal. That was the hood back signal. My peoples from Baltimore said that was the hootie hoo. When you're in the hood and you hear hootie hoo, that means, oh, we scrapping today. Okay. So he threw his hat up. Here's the part that I had to see a few takes to understand what was really going on. Those were his coworkers that were there on the boat. Now, when I saw from the other angle, those were his coworkers. When I saw the other angle when the young bro jumped out, he had to swim 50 to 100 yards from the boat.
He literally did 100 yards freestyle. 100 yards freestyle.
100-yard freestyle. Got there to the pier. I don't think they call it pier in the South. They call it something else down the South.
It's a dock.
Pier is kind of California. So anyway, so he gets on there, and the thing about here's part of the audacity of these people on this boat. You done jumped this man 5 on 1. Jumped him. He still was taking them licks because until his boys came, old boy was he was tussling. He had them all tussled up.
And there's one unsung hero that keeps getting forgotten about. There was a white teenage boy that also worked in the dock, had on a cute little yellow vest. Yeah. He tried to jump in and help. They punched this boy in the face and the stomach and just shoved him out of the way.
Shoved him out of the way. And he said, "You know what?" And I ain't even mad at him because at that point he's like, these white guys, that's like you the young boy and the 25, 30-year-old guys and they daddies over here and they telling you, get out the way. We go through the same thing in the black community. But by the way, brother come from upside the dock. I don't think he was part of the work crew. He was like, he was not a part of the work crew. He just saw the smoke. He came down. He caught himself trying to break it up. They was getting so fired up on that boat. Like, hurry up and get this boat to the dock, because when we get to the dock, it's on and popping, right?
If more than black folks were able to swim, it would have been more people in the water swimming to the dock. I'm sorry. I know we're not supposed to say that kind of stuff, but it's true. If more than Negroes could swim, it would have been a whole water boat full of people trying to get onto the dock. Yeah. And what's funny is, and I know we shouldn't say it's funny, but it's funny to me, once all the guys on the riverboat got off, they already had their shirts on.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, and let me just tell you. Part of it was them boys was probably thinking because you notice everybody got these blue. Boom, they go Aquaman who done slammed the boy to the ground. Part of their whole thing was that everybody got these blue shirts on, so I'm gonna take my blue shirt off because I don't want nobody to know that I'm at.
That I work here.
That I work here. When I go ahead, I go to Mollywop and stop this dude. So I'm gonna try to get through this thing. Let me finish. So, you know, what was so egregious to these guys is like, you think that these people were gonna watch you stomped out their man. That's like any other coworker, any one of my boys, I'm watching you and I can't get to you, but I'm watching you beat up my boy. And instead of you leaving and saying I'm out, they got back in their boat, started continuing to sip on their beer, and was like, oh, it's whatever. No, it ain't whatever.
It wasn't whatever. Those men got off the boat and pulled those white people off that boat.
You know,
and we're like, no, it's an even fight now. And I know me and Miguel are both very mature. We're career-oriented people. But if we were there, if my husband was there, who's not even a black man, he would have been like, hold my glasses. You got my keys and my cell phone. And he would have took off running to go help because it was just like what Miguel said. It was egregious. It was egregious.
It was egregious. And so when it came down to it, by the time they realized the mistake that they had made, it was way too late.
It was like when Keeping It Real goes wrong, the live version. And I don't even like. What did they think was going to happen? You see, and I know the only black people weren't the black people on the boat. I know there had to be black people around. They just assume that all the black people aren't going to care. We're just going to like. It was just weird. You could see black men running from the dock who weren't even close to this. People swimming.
Like at that point. You can't unwrap your little rope, back away. You ain't got enough time. You made that mistake 5-7 minutes ago when you didn't unwrap that rope and drove off when you was asked to. By the time them brothers came on over that jump, first thing I did, I laughed with Trey because I swear the first boy got smacked and he cupped his hand. He smacked the mess out of that first rascal. And I tell y'all, I'm not feeling mature tonight. I'm just letting y'all know. If y'all in these kind of
never mature, and I would have been like, "You better hold my wig. Take the baby stroller real quick, ma'am. You like you good with kids. Hold the stroller real quick. Let's go."
And then you saw. I can't confirm it because I can't confirm it. But I saw some purple shirts in that group, and I started seeing a group of purple shirts. I'm saying, "Oh, them the Omegas." You know they ready to scrap, even the old ones.
It's Montgomery, Alabama. Of course you saw purple shirts. Of course you saw Montgomery, Alabama. Yes, you saw some old Omega sci-fis.
Some old Omegas. And for all my brothers out there who are accused, I'm not saying that it was y'all, but I'm telling you I saw a couple of purple shirts out there swinging on some cats. I don't know. And then when the boy
it doesn't matter if it was them or not. And also what I'm mostly surprised by, maybe because I'm just from South St. Pete and I'm a hood, we didn't see any of the black women get off the boat and start jumping them other women because the black.
What were you watching?
Is that the third?
Them black women was wearing them white girls out.
On the third fight, I didn't see the third fight.
Oh,
I thought
with
the chair.
There was a time. There was one girl and all of them once again look like they all worked. The one girl because if you look back at the original video, when the security guard went down, there was one white girl that jumped in there and kicked him.
Yes, I saw her with the lime green dress.
Okay, she ended up in the river.
She also ended up in jail.
So they ended up mollywopping her, one of the women, and one thing that it was the women from the crew came down and they went after the women, and they was mollywopping her, threw her into the river. Then there's another person who jumped into the river because they was like, oh, it's too many of them. And so eventually there's another video where the cop is a black cop. And he's watching them getting wore out, and he just walking a very, very, very leisurely. Like
all the cops walked very slowly. And even one black cop, there was a white woman who was trying to grab him from arresting one of the white guys. He shoved her back. She had the full fake fall. Oh, like it was in slow motion.
This was not the time. This is not the time to be funny.
And all the white people were arrested. The only black person that was arrested was the guy who threw the chair. For no reason, it seemed like.
He actually didn't throw that chair. He used that chair as a bona fide weapon. He was chasing people behind, hitting, and he deserved to get locked up.
Because the white was sitting on the ground. Like she was confused. Maybe she got hit by one of the girls, and
Well,
he
she just
went
got
over
beat up by
her.
two of the black girls that just beat her up. She was already
And he
getting beat up.
slams the chair over her head.
Yeah,
like
Andre, here's what you know: when you see people skipping up to a fight with their shirt off, you better have a crew ready because they ready for you, homeboy. When them cats came off that boat with them shirts off and they skipping and trotting, all of us have seen that in a fight.
That's a black person rule. That is a black person we about to fight.
Boy, you better knuckle up. And old boy just stood there like, what, buddy? What? Wow.
Oh, another reason why the white people messed up and the black people didn't. All the black people had on Jordans and Nikes tied up very tightly in sneakers.
And
all
the white people Crocs had on and they both shoes.
Crocs. That's not, you can't fight in Crocs. That's how you get beat up in Crocs.
That narrator was the sister, and she's been actually on the Breakfast Club and some other stuff. It's wild.
The only better narrator right now is the narrator from the Cleveland baseball game when Tim Anderson got down.
We'll
down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson.
We'll get to that. He said, "Boy, said skipping to Mississippi with a toothpick in your mouth, it's over." You better believe it.
Either a toothpick or that cigarette that almost is done hanging off your lip.
Hanging off your lip. Get that last smoke and toss that thing, and it's on the pocket. So here's the thing, man. We're laughing and we joking about this thing because it's honestly it's funny.
It's funny.
There are people clutching the pearls and they all like, oh, I can't believe it, blah, 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 blah. Well, first of all, save it because, when Kentucky Wildcats or Georgia wins a football game, y'all out there wilding the streets and tossing cars over. But what has made a lot of people, I believe, really excited about this thing, because it really felt like, quite frankly, it's a celebration.
We've been this happy since the Obamas came into office. Stop it. Yes.
It's a shame because it's such a small victory. It really is. It's such a small victory. When it's all said and done.
It's a small and stupid victory.
A small and a stupid victory. You're talking about 4 or 5 dudes and they ladies got out there and got drunk on the boat, didn't know how to act, wouldn't move their boat, and they got mollywopped by a bunch of people with blue shirts on who was on their job. First of all, here's your lessons, white folks. Don't go on black people's job acting a fool. You doubt it? Just do a Google search and see how many fights in McDonald's and Popeyes and people getting their
and Waffle House. Here's the other thing. They didn't see no other boats parked near them. That wasn't a sign that we shouldn't park here.
They do not care. Them people.
okay.
But I bet you they care now. They learned. They gonna learn today. They felt like,
and
who
they
cares?
will be unemployed. When they find out their native people are not gonna. It's always a ricochet effect.
But here's the thing. Like, you say that, but some of the stuff I done read, people like that, they business owners. They own your landscaping companies and they own these aren't people who work for people. Or they work for each other. It's them and their family and all that stuff.
But you need clients to survive.
Absolutely.
So if I found out that my pool man Tim, and I love pool man Tim. Absolutely. But I found out that Pool Man Tim was one of the guys at Alabama. Like, Pool Man Tim, I gotta replace you, bro. You can't be out here just hitting.
You done. Don't come back to my house. I saw you on the news. And so the funniness, man, the funniness is out here in these internet streets. I just, man, boy, oh boy. I just there's a couple of them. I just got to pull them up because
pull up the pool reenactment.
Oh Jesus.
That one's my favorite.
Jill Scott, they done pulled up the Jill Scott clip. Hold on, you can't talk right now because whatever caused you a little echo, I'm about to switch over real quick because we got to get this low, and I'll let you know what you're gonna get. Hold on, boy.
Why do you like that?
Oh my God, the creativity.
A mess.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm having an immature
story before we stay on this all the time.
I'm sorry. This was the funniest weekend. Here's the thing. When it's all said and done, let's just see what shakes out. Rest assured, black folks, Montgomery, Alabama,
What
protect
shakes
yourself.
out? A bunch of fake ass apologies from the white people are about to shake out. We know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a bunch of fake apologies, and we just were overserved, and we're sorry for the misunderstanding. Like we've all heard this apology before. But the good news is, y'all got beat up. You gave your fake apology. Everybody's fine now. If there wouldn't have been no fight and there's a fake apology, okay, cool. But we beat you up. You gave a fake apology. We're even. We'll see you later. Okay, next story.
All right, okay. I want to know. We will find the hat. This is the last thing.
Y'all never find that hat. I'm telling you, marry Tyler Moore. He married Tyler Moore that hat up into the air.
You're not gonna soften that thing up. That thing was all the way old school hood.
Fine. He roofed that hat like the old lady who wants y'all to stay at her yard and she throw y'all ball on the roof. That's how he did that hat. You're never getting that hat back.
Now moving on to their fearless leader. Their fearless leader, Donald Trump, has been charged by the Justice Department, and so now we're up to indictment number 3. We're waiting on number 4 here in Georgia. As I mentioned, Fani Willis, the district attorney here in Atlanta. Kudos to that sister, man, because the smoke that she's having to deal with right now, and is going to be having to deal with in the state of Georgia, these rascals going to act a fool, but justice hopefully will be served.
So the 4-count indictment reveals new details about a dark chapter in modern American history, detailing handwritten notes from former Vice President Mike Pence about Trump's relentless goading, as well as how Trump sought to exploit the violence of January 6, 2021 riot to remain in office. Even a year of rapid succession legal reckoning for Trump, Tuesday's criminal case with charges including conspiring to defraud the United States government that he once led was especially stunning in its allegation that a former president assaulted the underpinnings of democracy in a frantic but ultimately failed effort to cling power. Who wrote this? Listen, Griot, you don't need all the flowery language. Just write the damn story. I don't need all of this. I don't need all of these. Never mind. I'm sorry. That was a moment. It's okay. It's okay. The reason why this is so interesting is because he keeps acting like he doesn't care, and people keep going to the rallies. Now, don't get me wrong. The numbers are dwindling down from these rallies. It's nowhere near like it was previously, but there are people still who support him. Yeah. And it's very, very sad to watch American people still say, but he didn't do this. But they're just making stuff up. But it's just a witch hunt. It's not a witch. When witches actually appear, it's not a witch hunt anymore. It's an actual, whatever you call witches who come around. Like that's what it is.
No, these all the people who got this indictment pushed through they're all Republicans. They're all people who used to work for him.
Yes.
What's the witch hunt?
And Mike Pence. Are we now saying that Mike Pence is just some rando person? And we all had a feeling that Mike Pence was put in a messed up situation. I'm not giving him excuse, but we all kind of felt like he was put in a messed up situation. Because when you think about it,
Mike Pence made his bed, man. He decided he wanted to get in bed with
Donald
Trump.
He absolutely did make his bed.
And he wanted to have that next, he wanted to be the next president. He thought if he hung out with Trump. Trump is just by far the worst individual to ever hold public office that we can recall. Like, and I'm talking to some people who are well my senior that'll be like, Reagan, not Nixon, not Clinton.
Nixon is the only one anybody can think of that even comes remotely close. And even what he did, wiretaps.
Right. And because in part, what makes it even worse for Donald Trump is his level of access. He has access to people at the drop of a hat by just picking up his phone and deciding he wants to make a ruckus. You couldn't do that 50, 60 years ago. Right?
But I don't even think it's that. I think he never really had respect for the office.
No, it's all about power. It's all about power. They watched Barack Obama be the first social media president. He was the first person who went out there and got enough individual donations. No. Yes, absolutely.
No, but I know that's a fact, but I don't think that's what it is. Even there's a level of respect you have to have for the office of the presidency. Not even even though it is power, it is a power and control that you have. You're standing for the American people. Right. You have a voice. You have all these things you need to know and be in place. All the presidents have had that respect. Even when they did dumb stuff. George W. Bush, dumb as a post, had respect for the office. Reagan, Nixon, all of them. First Bush, Donald respect for the office. Trump had no respect for the office. He only had respect for the platform that it gave him.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct. And Trump knew all these guys. He had relations with them. He was a donor for all of them. So he had relationships with all these folks, and like many of us, we look at a lot of these presidents over the years, like you talk about George W. Bush, we don't have a ton of respect for him in the way he led. Imagine you're in the room with him whenever you want just by writing a check. And imagine that you can, I used to go back 20 years ago when I used to watch the type of numbers that American Idol used to get in voting, and it would be some crazy number of people that would vote to vote in these winners, and I was just like, wow, this is very interesting, the way that you get people engaged. And then we got to the point, once we moved this thing into a celebrity deal, which is what they've done with this presidency. Now anybody with money and access and enough gumption can run for president and make a dent. And that's at least, well, I'm not going to say just on the Republican side. That's the way it is right now. I'm sure there's some Democrats.
No, that's everybody. Because I remember when they were trying to put up people against Trump for 2020, and the amount of people that were coming out of the woodwork to run for presidency, I was like, who are all you people?
Yeah, I just think there's so many, and you're in those Republican conversations, so maybe you can prove me wrong, but I think there's just a lot more vetting that's going on with the left, just because there's so many issues that are involved and there's so many questions. I just don't see them questioning right now. Let's think, we talk about the short list of the Republican platform. Everybody's transgender. They trying to teach their kids about being groomed. We got to stop them teaching our kids. You've got to control education, and the immigrants.
And that grooming thing pisses me off more than anything else.
Right.
Because you have white Christian men who are doing more grooming to children, especially female children, than anybody else on the face of the planet is doing. And that is a fact. That is not some made up thing that we're saying. It is true. We have multiple senators who have agreed that it is okay for a 12-year-old girl to marry a grown man as long as she has parental consent. Because there was women in the Bible who married at 12 and their weddings were just fine. It's like, what are you? That's grooming.
But then the same person will and people, if we listen to the show long enough to know, I've got an interesting relationship with what is going on in the community, right? But those are the same people that talk about grooming, but then will have all these things to say about young people and getting exposure to LGBTQ education, right? So make up your mind. You can't sit up here and be a pedophile and want to marry 12-year-old girls, but then also out of the other side of your mouth, you want to talk about somebody that has a lifestyle that you don't agree with.
And that's the thing. They don't agree with it, and Miguel, I will defend Miguel to the tilt, because Miguel may be confused by it, but he knows the difference between grooming
right
and just wanting to live your life. Yes, there are people who are taking their kids to to drag reading shows, which have been going on for the past 8 years, by the way. 8 years.
Well, let me be clear, because we're going to talk about Neyo here in a little bit. I believe in letting people live their lives. There's things that people are living in their lives that I may not necessarily agree with, but I'm not about running no flags. I'm not about causing physical harm. I'm not about none of that. I just don't think it's something that I agree with for my loved ones. But
I've seen the drag kid reading show. It's not what everybody thinks. People think it's a drag queen with pasties on and all this kind of stuff. It's the drag queen dressed up as the character from the book. They're using their makeup talents to dress up as Little Bo Peep or the lamb from Little Bo Peep with the cotton and the whole outfit, and then read the story to the kids as the character from the book.
Well, that's different. If it's just someone who's gay, who's going out there and dressing up like Little Bo Peep, just because everybody, when we were kids, there were people who would come in and dress like characters from a book to read books to them. Just
that's
because
all
it
it is.
To be, just because they happen to be. Most of them kids don't know and don't care that they are.
They don't care. Gay. Like, ooh, look, it's Peppa Pig.
No, right. So that's a whole different conversation. But to your point, the point I was making was that there's such a limit on the scope of what the right are doing to select their candidates. Just look at the numbers. Trump is at 46% or something around the bat. The second running is DeSantis, who has enough coverage, and he's running the whole state of Florida, so that's going to get him his 20. Everybody else is not even on the radar. I'm like, Chris Christie has 2%. He's not even in the conversation.
But Ron DeSantis has lost a lot of votes in Florida. When he started messing with kids getting their AP courses and education, that he lost a lot of white people. More than I think he thought he was going to lose, which is weird that he thought that everybody was just going to be like, okay, that's great. And that's not what happened. He
Yeah,
No.
I'm just curious as to how much it's going to potentially hurt him when it comes down to running for Florida again. Because we all can pretty much assume he's going to lose the national election to Trump. So he'll be back. He'll be back in the mix trying to fight for Florida. But has anybody stepped up in the state of Florida to challenge him? Is the question.
I don't know. That's a whole separate conversation that we'll have to get into later, but we have a bunch of more stories to get to. So do you want to jump into Neyo? Because I got his comment all queued up. Seems like it ties into what we're talking about.
Yeah, let's talk about Neo. Neo, well, go ahead and cue up the story because I don't trust right now the audio. I want to make sure it's not giving us
So
his echo.
Okay, so on Saturday, video of an interview with Gloria Velez for Vlad TV, in which Neyo and Velez questioned parents who support their children identifying as a different gender than the sex they were assigned at birth, was uploaded to YouTube. So here's his quote. This is Neyo's quote. I just personally come from an era where a man was a man and a woman was a woman, said Neyo in the interview clip. And there was two genders, and that's just how I rocked. You identify as a goldfish if you feel like I don't care. That ain't my business. It becomes my business when you try to make me play the game with you. I'm not going to call you a goldfish, but if you want to be a goldfish, you go be a goldfish. We live in a weird time, man. We do. During the conversation, he said, I feel like parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is. If your little boy comes to you and says, Daddy, I want to be a girl, and you just let him rock with that, he's 5. If you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's going to do that. When did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves? When did that happen? I don't understand. He can't drive a car yet, but he can decide his sex. Now,
Right.
What he said is not wrong, but there's orders and things that need to be removed to make this not transphobic. Let me translate for you. He can say the whole thing of, your child comes and says, Daddy, I want to be a little girl. That makes sense as a parent. Then you ask your kid the questions. Why do you want to be a girl? Why do you want to be a little girl? You don't have to start hormones. How about I affirm you as a parent? Mm-hmm. I will affirm my child at home. I will make sure he's not bullied at school. I will go to that school every single day. But I'm going to wait until my child is a certain age to go, do you feel like this? Then we'll have a conversation like that. And then him adding all the goldfish stuff in there, he didn't need to add none of that stuff in there. He could have just said, for my household, I would be more careful about putting my son or daughter in a position that's permanent. You can reverse your transgender surgery or transition, but it's very difficult to do. So as a parent, even if that happened to Lee, Lenore, or Devin, I would be like, listen, I will affirm you. I will support you, but let's hold off on the actual hormone taking. Let's hold off on any talk of surgery until we get to that point that you actually know this is where you want to be. And I will be in your corner. I'll be ready to fight the world for you, but let's hold off for something serious. Now, Miguel, is what I just said, does that sound transphobic?
Does it sound? It all depends on who's this. But here's my question.
Okay.
Here's my question. Why is it to the point that everybody has to have a perspective on this?
I do not know.
Because when it's all said and done, right, there's a lot of things that I don't have a daily perspective on. I don't have a daily perspective on how Asians live their lives. I don't have a lot of Asian folks in my life, so it doesn't really affect me on a day-to-day basis. I don't have a perspective on a lot of things. But now you have everybody in these conversations. It's like in their list of questions, something that has to be asked about how a person feels about the LGBTQIA. In a lot of cases, it's becoming more of just a T community. And I'm almost at a point with some of these celebrities to say, I'm good on that. I don't really have much of a perspective on that. And don't push me. It's like one of the things I'm going to let my community team know. Let them know. Don't ask me any questions about that. Because I prefer not to have a conversation about that. Because it's not something that really affects me. Right?
And I agree with you.
And I have children. I have young children. But when it comes down to, in my school that my kids are in, it's not even a conversation that even comes up. It's not something we're discussing as parents. It's not stuff. We're discussing it more on social media in this form than it is in the day-to-day. So I just like, in a lot of perspective, people would feel like it's a conversation that has to be had. And I don't think it's a conversation that has to be had.
I don't think so either.
As long as anybody I'm associated with is not causing them any physical harm, keeping them from living the life that they want to live. As for me and mine, I have a perspective that I'm going to teach me and mine, right? So that's it. And so all this, because when it's all said and done, as soon as you make a comment, you can never keep up with the trolls and the bullies. There's always going to be tough people behind keyboards and these phones that is going to make a whole lot of noise. It's going to get people stirred up. The fact that Neyo came back and did a follow-up video after this interview and had to really explain it further.
This is his fault. He said the word goldfish 6 times. Did he need to do the goldfish thing? No. This is what it kills me about celebrities who answer these questions. Mm-hmm. Like, if you had an interview and they asked you and you're like, hey, I gotta take a break for 5 minutes, I'll come back and ask you, and you can't call me, he's like, how do I answer this question? I would tell you exactly how to say that without demeaning another community of people. You don't have to demean another community of people.
So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. When people in the LGBTQ community are bullying people and calling them ignorant and calling them all the names that I see constantly in these conversations.
Which is true.
Where is so how often, how much do people think people are supposed to take those lumps before they respond? Do I agree with him saying they're a goldfish or whatever? Sure, that's disrespectful. But to me, to expect just everyone else to change the way they learn the English language, I got an issue with that.
Well, I'm not even talking about the English language thing. I mean, I think the them thing is annoying, but I think the bigger thing is...
But I think that's the analogy he was trying to make. If you want me to, if all of a sudden they wanted to be called, which of course they wouldn't, but it was a ridiculous analogy.
That's the thing. It was a ridiculous analogy. That's what makes it stupid. He could just simply say, "Hey, I like grammar." They them don't work right there. I like grammar.
But that wouldn't have been enough. It wouldn't have been enough. Go ahead.
What I would have said, what I say, and I've said this to people when they're like, "Oh, I'm a they them." I'm like, "Honey, what's your name?" I'm going to call you by your name because I value who you are as a person. Sure. I'm not going to call you they, them.
Right.
I barely want to call people she over there, her over there. That's rude to put her over. No.
Right.
Jamie over there has an opinion about so-and-so.
Right.
So that's how I would treat it.
Right. Right. And we all are at a point where we want to respect folks. Like the example I think I brought up on the show last week. We want to honor and we want to know that we see you. Whatever if you feel like you want to identify how you want to identify, that's absolutely your business, right? But don't feel like I am harming you in some way because I'm not going out of my way to try to. You say I look at you, I see a male. You say I'm a they, and then I'm 50-something years old, and I'm constantly trying to. Oh, this group is a they. That's a plural. You are one singular person, and you want me to call you they. That's something that's like you're making my brain work for something that is arrogant to me.
And I also
think, make people try to do that.
Yeah, I also think they need to back off of parents who are not jumping on my kid's trans thing. You know why? And I will tell you this. It's the word the trans community
thing. What is that? Well,
what I'm saying is like. A lot of trans people want their parents to accept them 100% right out the gate. And when their parents don't, they get upset about it, sad about it, whatever. But no one ever looks at it from the parent's perspective. And that's because of the wording that a lot of trans people use. Like, let's say Leela. I gave her my grandmother's name. If she decided to transition, my grandmother's name would be her dead name. And that name would never be used again. And that to me would hurt me as a mom because I gave you a family member's name who is no longer with us. It's just the wording of, you never had a daughter before. You always had a son and this and that. It's like, but no, I did. And it's just that aggressive language that makes a lot of parents who have trans kids kind of back away. Like, my child died. You're not allowing me to mourn. You're just this new person that I'm supposed to enjoy and accept. But my child, the other child is dead. Like, I get why a lot of trans parents are not just jumping on the board of,
is that the perspective that the child is dead? I don't think the child is dead. That's not how they're positioning it, is it?
That's how I've heard some people say it. That child doesn't exist or never existed. I've always been this person. But that's not how it is for the parents. Like, I get it. But to Neyo, you're a dodo bird, but we've always known you were a dodo bird because of how you treat women and all that. You're just a crap person. Let's just say that.
Are we back to Neyo? Oh, we're back to
Yes, sorry. Neyo is a crap person, and nobody's defending him. Neyo just sucks as a human being. But that transitions into my other topic of what happened to Jamie Foxx over the weekend. Because listen here, Jewish community.
Oh yeah, that
y'all gonna have to fight with us right now, because I'm normally, and Miguel will say this, I'm all for supporting the Jewish delegation, but today y'all got big nerve saying that what he said was anti-Semitic, because in the black church and black people, I have heard that saying my entire life, and it never had anything to do with Jewish people.
We got to set that up now, because for people who don't know exactly what was said, he made a comment, and I'm gonna try to find it.
They killed Jesus, so why would you think they wouldn't do any harm to you?
Right, and then he put hashtag like fake friends or something like that, right?
Yes.
So it was very clear to me. First of all, I didn't have any thoughts at all that this had anything to do with Judaism at all, or Jews at all, and then all of a sudden it became that, and I was just like, hold on, what? Like, what? But here's the thing that, and once again, another situation where we're talking about, once again, black people are backpedaling.
Who?
Jamie Foxx immediately put out a statement.
He did, and I couldn't believe it. And that's Jennifer Aniston's white Milky Way butt's fault, because she was like, I can't believe he said something so anti-Semitic. I have no for Jewish hate. I was like, Jennifer, nobody was talking to you.
Yeah, here's his apology. I want to apologize to the Jewish community, everyone who was offended by my post. I know my choice of words will cause offense, and I'm sorry. That was never my intent to clarify, blah, 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 blah. Fake friends, blah, 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 blah. My deepest apologies, blah, 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 blah. So when do we get apologized to?
I don't care nothing about that. That's fine.
But my point is that, like you said, the original statement, and I don't, maybe it'll pop up here in a minute. It said nothing about Jews. It said nothing. It was strictly about, it, like you said, it's a colloquialism within the black community that we say those type of things. They, thinking about fake friends. That's really what it was about. Fake friends of any sort of, it ain't about religion or creed or anything else.
Here we go.
Jesus' fake friends, send it to me on one of the socials and I can pull it up. Just send it to me and I can pull it up on the screen.
Okay. I'm like, look at the screen.
And so it had nothing to do with Jews. And then with Jennifer Aniston to come out like, oh, I didn't like it. I didn't mean to like it. I didn't like it on purpose. Social media is such nonsense. And so, man, it just gets so annoying how quickly we backpedal with a quickness because white folks get uncomfortable.
But I don't know why he backpedaled. I just sent it to you on.
Because Jamie Foxx. Where did you
No.
Which platform did you send it on?
I sent it to you on Messenger. So new people are in the room. So let me explain. I've heard this saying since I was a little kid, and it always meant you need to stay humble and stop acting like bad things won't happen to you. There's nothing special about you. They killed Jesus, and by they, it's not Jewish people, because he was killed by Romans, and he wasn't just betrayed by Judas. Everybody keeps thinking he was just betrayed by Judas, and like, there were several people he got betrayed by. He got betrayed by the Roman people, who he was put up against a murderer, a known murderer, and they voted for the murderer over Jesus, the person they knew was good. That's what betrayal.
Yeah.
The Roman Pontius Pilate, who knew that Jesus had done nothing wrong, he was like, hey, I don't know, I don't care, I'll just let the people vote, even though he also knew Jesus didn't need to be there. Then he also got degraded while he's hanging on the cross. He got degraded by the other thief who was there, who was just like, oh, you're supposed to be Jesus. Why are you not doing that? You're supposed to just whisk yourself away. That's also disrespect and betrayal.
I swear for goodness, it's not that serious. And I appreciate the Bible study lesson. I do.
I got it right, though. I be messing up stuff in the Bible all the time.
I appreciate the Bible study, but this ain't had nothing to do with the word. This was a simple... just like when somebody's, my grandma used to always get on me every now and again, and it taught me, it ingrained it in me, my God, don't you use the Lord's name in vain, and that was something as a Christian I grew up, and that was embedded. There are a lot of things as Christians that have been embedded in our minds and in our psyche. This is one of them, and it ain't got nothing to do with Jews. And
not even close.
But when it came down to it, Jamie Foxx lives in Hollywood. That's his life. He's been there for 35, 40 years. And if those Jewish folks say, we mad at you, you better backpedal and apologize, or we're not financing your next project. And he did what he had to do. It's over, but it still pisses me off. But someone has to
have a conversation. Someone has to speak up and have the conversation and say, no, this is what this means.
It's up to folks like us to have the conversation. Jamie Foxx has did what he had. Jamie Foxx has been, from a standpoint of a Hollywood celebrity, he has had one of the best managed personas of the last 30 years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he got all those
So
famous people to be in this stupid music videos, for God's sake.
yeah, and so when it comes down to Jamie and him handling his business, he did what he had to do. He may be cussing and sipping on some hot and some good liquor where he is, pissed off. He even had to go that route, but it's done. He's gonna let us handle it, right? And that's the part that we wish more celebrities, the ones who are most successful, the Beyoncés, the Jay-Z's, the Jamie Foxxes. Will Smith made a mistake, a couple of years ago, but they did a pretty good job of keeping their main business out of the spotlight into the last few years. The ones, Denzel Washington's, the ones that do it really well, do it really well. And even some of the
Yeah.
modern people, the J. Cole's of the world, the Kendrick Lamar's of the world,
Yes.
the Herds of the world, they do an excellent job of managing who they are outside of their public life. They don't let their personas, get trampled on. These other clowns out here, man, they lose sight of it so fast, and that's why they burn. So,
And
Jennifer
let me
Aniston,
say,
go ahead.
really good thing is that when this was comment about being anti-Semitic, you could see other Jewish people being like, well, I'm confused. How is this anti-Semitic? It wasn't like it's normally like an onslaught of people just saying it's anti-Semitic, it's anti-Semitic. It wasn't like that. It was some people, white people, like, well, this doesn't seem anti-Semitic. It just seems like a Bible thing. And all the black people coming back to back to back to back about what are you all talking about? We have all heard this from church since we were little. It's not even a Bible verse. And all of us were like, we've heard this since we were kids. This is not nothing to do with Jewish people, but that's my saying.
When it's all said and done, you saw when we talk about the damsel in distress, and Jennifer Aniston in that moment was does someone either DM'd her or somebody, like, who even asked you? Like, who asked you your opinion on this that made you say, well, Jennifer, you got to go out there and say something about this because he's saying something bad about the Jews. And she's sitting there sipping on her wine, and all of a sudden she tweeted this mess out, and then it became something that didn't have to be.
And then people started going to her DMs and like, this is why Brad left you for Angelina. I was like, oh, damn, y'all just going straight for the jugular. Or this is why you have no children. I'm like, okay, y'all, like, we just going to just say the meanest shit we can think of.
Hey, man, insane. For folks need to stay out of these internet streets, man, because, with all the stuff going on with the SAG-AFTRA stuff and these celebrities and all that stuff, right now you got people that are dropping like flies. We got these other stories that we got Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish sued again over new claims from mother of two child abuse accusers months after the case was dismissed. She's getting to the point that she's not going to have a whole lot more rope before long.
But that lady needs to drop this lawsuit because it's stupid. And we talked about this in our production meeting. This is dumb. Like, lady, you're just trying to get more money. It's stupid. You need to let it go. It's over with. But our show is about to wrap, and we usually use dumb stuff at this time of the show. So how dumb do you want to get? You want to go Sugar Factory? You want to go Armadillos taking over?
You know what's so funny? Let's do the Sugar Factory. I'm going to tell you why I want to do Sugar Factory. Because one of my closest friends, his anniversary, shout out to my man, Rob Bennett. Him and his wife's 16th anniversary. And Rob Bennett is like my big brother. So, Rob is pushing 70, smooth as silk. And his family wanted to take him out to dinner. They took him to the Sugar Factory in Atlanta. As soon as he said it, I started laughing. I was like, they took you to the Sugar Factory? Okay, tell me about that. And so finish your part of the Sugar Factory story, and then I'm going to finish my part about Rob Bennett.
Okay, so according to the outlet, Soldier Purdue, I'm already mad, arrived with her other adults and children at the Midtown location. The outlet reports the youngest child present for her daughter's birthday celebration was 3 years old. Purdue explained that due to the occasion, the Sugar Factory gave her and her guests complimentary drinks. The drinks reportedly included alcohol shots for the adults and juice for the children. I start looking around. I'm looking at my daughter and I'm seeing the other kids and they're making these faces. I think it has liquor in it, Purdue explained. She then told the outlet that she informed the location's manager, who responded by looking immediately disturbed. I told the manager what happened. He looked at me disturbed. He's like, oh my gosh, I told them non-alcoholic shots. The kids got liquor. The kids ended up drunk at the Sugar Factory, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's not meant for kids. It's a bar Would you take your babies to the club?
Absolutely not. So
Exactly.
that was the first. Rob had talked about his experience with the Sugar Factory, and he's like, the drinks were terrible. The food was plus sugar. The service was horrendous. Oh, it's so fun. It just customer service is such a thing in the past. I don't know if you saw this on my social media this week. We went out. I think it was Saturday. Michelle's birthday party. She turned 12 last week. So we took her to the Putt Shack, which is a bar / indoor putting deal here down off Howell Mill Road in Atlanta.
Like Top Golf.
No, it's not Top Golf because Top Golf it's all inside. It's really just a restaurant bar that's got the little mini putt-putts. Anyway, kids, whatever. So I go to the bar. We're waiting for all the kids to get there. And I get myself a little appetizer ready to go. The girl cashes me out. She gives me my receipt to sign my credit card receipt, and she gives me a crayon to sign my receipt. And then she walks away. Probably, I think it was orange. And so I got these dudes sitting next to me, and another bartender comes by. Mind you, I'm sitting at the bar. I'm not sitting at one of the little tables. I'm sitting at the bar. And I looked at this thing, and I looked at this crayon, and I looked at the other bartender. I said, did she really give me a crayon to sign my receipt? And the other dudes just busted out laughing. And she was so serious about it. And I was just like, so the same thing happened to my friend at the Sugar Factory. And then this young lady who calls herself having a birthday party at the Sugar Factory, and she got kids, and they mix up the drinks because the non-alcoholic drinks and the alcoholic drinks look the same. I guess at this place.
Exactly the same.
Look exactly the same.
They do look the same.
And so it's just the I don't know, man. And I hate to sound like the old dude in the club, man. The old dude get off my lawn, but I'm just like, yo, make your money now. When you get off at 9, 10 o'clock tonight, you want to go around the corner, switch your clothes, and go act a fool, act like a 22-year-old. I'm cool with that. I was at 22. We all did that. But leave that outside of the job. You on your job. And you giving a grown man a crayon to sign his credit card receipt. Who just gave you an annex.
That crayon really upset you, didn't it?
It was annoying because it was ridiculous. Like, why am I going to sit up here and sign my credit card with a crayon? Like, what do I look like?
And I know this sounds funny, and I guess I get this. I feel like a lot of waitresses and waiters do this, and bartenders do this to separate their receipts and money from other people's. Like, all these ones signed with a crayon, these tips are mine. Even like there's a shared thing to let them know, like, these are my receipts. And I know that sounds stupid, but, it is what it is. Next story. Where is McCrunch Wraps? Taco Bell sued for $5 million over false advertising and alleged skimpy Crunch Wrap. I'm not going to read the story. I'm just going to throw my phone down because it's stupid. It's funny. It's funny.
I'm not even going to comment on that story next.
Okay, we'll move on to the next
LeBron
story.
James. We got to get this in before we go. LeBron James promised school is they're on his neck supposedly about the failure of his math scores and math exams for a third year. Okay, they make it act like LeBron's school is like 100 years old, right?
It is not. No.
LeBron's school was started 5 years ago, 2018, I think. I think it's in this. It's in this. Okay, here we go. Opened its doors in 2018, right?
Yep.
Okay. 2.5 years of that was the pandemic. Let's just say 2 years of that was the pandemic.
Yes.
Everybody's scores dropped.
Yes.
All these kids, not to mention that LeBron's school was he's there to help underprivileged children. So these kids already have some levels of learning. They're behind the 8 ball as it is. I get so sick and tired of when you see these celebrities or these people who are who put their name and their brands out there to do good. There's so many trash individuals that are doing everything that they can to try to tear them down. And this story even being out there, it's just trash to me. It's trash.
I think they're trying, like I've mentioned this before, I think they're trying to compare it to Kanye West's ridiculous, stupid school that had no real curriculum. Kids got to do what they wanted to do. They're trying to compare it to that, and that's not the case. This is not a situation where the kids have no structure and they're just making up their own thing. It has to do with the fact that there was 2 years of universal learning loss. Universal. Yeah. Where kids are home trying to figure it out themselves. Their teachers are their parents. We're all so dumb. We don't have to teach kids. Like, we're just trying to make sure they don't hurt themselves sometimes. So that's what we're now up against. And there's a lot of kids, not just LeBron's school. There are other kids in where Miguel lives, where I live, who also have been struggling. There are kids who graduated in 2020, 2021, who have no business being in anybody's college. They have no business being there because they do.
I thank God for resources, and I thank God for the ability that our kids have access to. They live an electronic life, so there was no huge transition for them when they went virtual, right? But I remember it distinctly. There's a school that's in our community. We have our kids going to the school that has the better resources. The school that has lesser resources is actually closer to us than the other school. And I remember hearing about kids who didn't have access to computers in my community, where they was giving my kids, they gave our kids iPads or computers that they weren't even using because they didn't have to, because we had enough computers in the house.
Yeah.
So there was no vetting in the process, right? And so when it came down to our kids' scores they're doing very well. They're excelling over most of the kids in their span. But my point is that when the kids are under-resourced, when they don't have the ability at a young age in that first, second, third grade, it's something that's going to damage them for so many years to come. But you have people like LeBron James who went out of his way to say, I'm going to go back to my hometown, start a school, give them the resources. But that doesn't mean all of a sudden these kids, because you give them resources, they're going to be smart tomorrow.
No, that's not what it means.
And that's the garbage that's out there. So let's just keep an eye on this story and know that it's a lot more. It's a lot more fluff than it is real smoke and fire. They got some more time that they need to try to continue to improve this situation there. Real quick, let me see. We got a couple of minutes. Mike Pence is selling merch because Donald Trump said that he was too honest. And so, just like everybody else, everybody is pimping the game.
Donald Trump said he was too honest?
Donald Trump told Mike Pence he was too honest. So Mike Pence turned that into some merchandise. And then there's another situation where it looks like the situation in Atlanta. The family of the man eaten alive by insects and bug bites in Fulton County just reached a $4 million settlement. It's always, you always kind of celebrate to a degree when people get some sort of levels of compensation, but their family member is still gone. So that is, so anyway, anything else in your mind before we get up out of here? We ain't do our what this week. We ain't do our.
We just did it. We just didn't. You didn't put the thing on there. You didn't.
You're right. You did. You're right.
The only other thing, and we keep saying we're going to get to this, and now it's kind of old, but the Black Republicans who are revolting against DeSantis because of his curriculum. But there's a whole curriculum issue going on in Florida that eventually we're going to have to talk about. We're going to get some teachers on the show to talk because there's a lot to say about that. But other than that, a couple
weeks ago, they're going back to school now. Hold on. One more comment like I need to put up here. When's your Look at you, cheesing.
All right, cheese.
Look at you. You can't even see your eyeballs. My man Omar gets the. He gonna get some attention this evening.
Saying that's gross.
Big shout out to my man Omar Shakur. When is your anniversary?
Let's refresh your memory. It literally will be 6 years. Saturday. I got married on a Saturday. Okay. 6 years ago, and my anniversary is this Saturday. So Miguel and Tracy came to our wedding.
We did.
And we had our Hindu wedding on Friday the 11th, and then our Christian ceremony on Saturday the 12th. So yeah, it's been 6 years and 3 kids later and a house and the whole thing. Wow. But yeah, very.
Wow, always go back to the beginning.
Very happy. Thanks, honey. Yeah.
My man,
he got me gifts. Did anybody else know that the 6 year is the iron gift? Like iron the material? He did. He got me cast iron pans for my stove, which I love.
I'm gonna get him. You trying to embarrass the rest of us? I appreciate you, brother. Mine is coming up in August. I already got one of the gifts because we'll be 15 years this year.
What is 15 years? Oh wait, let's just see what 15 years is real quick. What is?
I don't know.
15 year anniversary gift. 15-year anniversary gift. Nope, I got it. Hold on.
If anybody knows what the 15-year anniversary gift is, let a brother know because I got some more shopping to do. I need to put everything on layaway.
Why? There just needs to be a list of what it is. It's not a. It's a metal.
It's a metal. Okay. All right. We narrowed it down.
Aluminum.
I wish I would get my wife anything aluminum.
Aluminum could be anything though, anything cool.
Only thing aluminum she wants
Something for
probably.
the house that you could build onto the house could be aluminum, like a covering over you guys' back patio or something.
You think my wife cares about that? She wants something she can wear. She can't wear no aluminum. All
I'm
right,
sorry,
anyway.
it's aluminum. I was reading the wrong day. It's crystal. That's what it is, crystal. The
Oh, it's
traditional
crystal.
anniversary gift is crystal, an enduring material that symbolizes the lightness, clarity, and durability of your love.
But please tell me which year is aluminum, because that is a trash year.
Why is iron year 6? I'm getting Omar an actual really fancy iron, like an iron, so he can iron his clothes.
Please do not get that man no damn iron for his. Good night, y'all.